Good evening and welcome to our next live event for Beyond the Celebrations, and DPS celebrates in conjunction with the collaboration of the Department of Equity Affairs. We would like to let everyone know that we do apologize for the delay this evening, but we very much appreciate your patience and for hanging on with us and being here with us this evening. We have a very exciting event planned for you tonight with our Queen's panel, Raising Voices to Shatter Ceilings, as we continue our celebration of DPS Beyond 28 in our Black History Month, as well as our Women's History Month for the month of March. As always, my name is Melissa Perez. I'm the Cultural and Linguistic Development Specialist and one of the co-leads for the project DPS Celebrates for Durham Public Schools. And as you can see here, here's a list of all of our DPS Celebrates committee members. And we very much appreciate all of their collaboration on this project. And we are asking for a special thanks this evening for our Durham Public Schools sign language interpreters. We have interpreting for us this evening Sarah Leonard. We appreciate them being here with us every week. And I would also like to thank the Multilingual Resource Center of Durham Public Schools for supporting us with translation. Particular this evening, we have the director of the MRC with us translating in Spanish, Mr. Pablo Friedman, and we thank him very much. Next slide, please. We would also like to call your attention to our March celebrations for DPS Celebrates this month, which you can find out more information at www.celebrate.dpsnc.net. For the month of March, we are celebrating Crown Act Week. We are celebrating Women's History Month. We are celebrating National Foreign Language Week, as well as our character trait of the month being courage. Also on our website, you will find e-library collections, a wealth of resources and lesson plans that can be used by students, teachers, and stakeholders. And so you may ask yourself, how do we come up with what celebrations that we want to focus on with our committee based on DPS data in response to our DPS population of students? And its purpose is to highlight awareness. And you can find everything that's celebrated along with those resources again with Zoom backgrounds and Bitmoji classrooms at celebrate.dpsnc.net. Next slide, please. And at this time, I would like to ask our DPS Celebrates committee member, Ms. Talia Cotton, who is also serving this evening as our moderator for our event. We are very grateful to Ms. Cotton for joining us and agreeing to be our moderator. So at this time, I will turn it over to her and let her introduce our wonderful DPS alumni panelists this evening and get started on our conversation. Ms. Cotton?
Hello, Melissa. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us in our DPS Celebrates Beyond the Celebrations Women's HERStory Month. In this series of events tonight, we will talk to DPS educators who serve as program coordinators for the We Are Queens program across the district. These women will discuss what inspires them to work with girls of color and how their lived experiences influence their work, along with the impact that they hope to have for the girls that they work with. And so right now, what we'll do is bring to the stage Tanisha Coburn. She is a science teacher at Northern High School, 2020 Teacher of the Year finalist, and a lovely coworker of mine. Thank you so much, Ms. Coburn, for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Then we will have Miss Queen Pryor. She's a professional school counselor, RN at Harris Elementary School, 2019-2020 DPS School Counselor of the Year. Thank you so much, Miss Pryor, for joining us.
Hi, thank you so much for the invite.
And then last but not least, we have Miss Ingrid Sadler Walker. professional school counselor and at Eastway Elementary School. Thank you so much, Miss Sadler Walker, for joining us as well.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So let's jump off and get started. The first question I have is, tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you to this work. And so we'll start with Miss Coburn.
So this is my 8th year as a science teacher at Northern and in Durham Public Schools and as an educator. So it's all been right here at Northern High School. What brought me to this work is actually my collegiate experience. I went to Bennett College, which is an all women's college in Greensboro, North Carolina. And having that community just opened my world to um, a whole different world of events and activities. And my goal was to create that small community for my own girls here at Northern.
And Miss Pryor, same question. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you to work with girls of color.
Well, I am certainly proud to say that I'm a Durham native and an alumna of Charles E. Jordan High School. So after graduating from Jordan, I was able to attend the University of North Carolina, Greensboro, and I majored in journalism at the time. So I worked in production for a few years and had the opportunity to shadow reporters and also complete various packages. And while that was a good experience, I realized I didn't think that was 100% my passion. So it was then that I decided I wanted to pursue my master's degree in school counseling, which I did from North Carolina Central University. And I chose that route because I've always enjoyed working with children. In addition to that, I'm a person who loves lending a listening ear and helping those in need. So I say all that to say I've certainly had my mother as a phenomenal female role model and my amazing father as a role model as well. And I continue to have both of them, as my support system. But I've also had other people who, helped steer me in the right direction throughout life, which I feel played a large role in me becoming the optimistic person that I am today. So I'd say that this work is truly important to me in order to fulfill what I consider my passion, as well as my purpose in assisting females of color. I want them to make sure that they love themselves and that they love their authentic self. Others help me. So hopefully my work will help shatter some of the barriers that they're experiencing. Because I think that once individuals learn to love themselves, and we grasp that self-love, then we can recognize that we are unstoppable and that we can achieve whatever we put our minds to.
And Miss Sadler Walker, same question. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what led you to this work, and kind of to piggyback on some of the comments Miss Pryor made. Why is this work important to you?
Hi, I'm also a Durham native, and I graduated from Hillside High School, class of 1980. I attended North Carolina Central University 3 times. Um, so it means a lot to me to actually come in and be able to work with the young girls. I started working at Eastway. I've been there for 22 years. So when I first started working with the mentoring program, I was working along collaboration with the Durham Police Department. And so I had mentees and mentors, and the mentors were actually some of the policemen and women, and also some of the teachers at Eastway. So I've been doing the mentoring program for a long time. So we moved from the PAL program. So once the We Are Kings was established, then the girls separated from the boys, and the girls' mentoring program was called Worthy Girls. And so then when We Are Queens was established and we were able to be a part of that, then we separated into the We Are Queens program. But I feel grateful and able to work with these girls to provide them with building their self-esteem, showing them a role model of, what it takes and what it looks like to be successful. So, just being a part of something to encourage these girls. Some of our girls, they don't have a positive role model that they can look at and mimic. And so one of our criteria that I put in place is that once a month when we meet, that the girls have to actually dress up. So that empowers them, that makes them feel good about who they are, and also to see what that actually means. So just being able to teach them life skills, not just skills for now, but life skills, so they can be successful on their job, at schools, and just in one-on-one relationships with family and friends. So it means a lot to me to be able to help inspire these girls and give them something that they might not be getting elsewhere.
And Ms. Coburn, same question. Why is this important to you? And then as you're responding to that, think about does your work help shatter ceilings or barriers for girls of color? So why is this important to you, and how does it help shatter those barriers for girls of color?
For me, why it's important is in the entire time that I've been in Durham Public Schools, one thing I've always wondered is why don't my girls see more within themselves?
Mm.
And I think about my experiences growing up and how I had women and men in my life who poured into me, and that's how I became confident. And so I realized that there must not be as many avenues where they're receiving that. And so it became very important to me because my mother was a big advocate of, pay it forward. And so I am appreciative of those experiences. So I am attempting to pay it forward to the next generation of the things that were imparted to me. And what I believe it allows them to do is helping them to become strong, confident young women early on in life and empowering them to follow their dreams early on. A lot of my confidence came in my 20s. And if I can get them to start having that confidence early on before some of those things happen for them, no matter the struggles they face, my hopes and dreams are that they are empowered to follow the dreams for that whatever dreams they may have.
I love that. I love that. I like how you said about paying it forward. I think that's so awesome because my mother did the same thing. She gave out and it just inspired me to want to give out too. So I love that, Miss Coburn. So, ladies, based on your experience and knowledge of the current climate in Durham, what do girls of color need? Let's start with Miss Sadler Walker.
I think, again, girls of color need a positive role model, and a role model that they can actually, um, I would say, touch and be more present than someone on TV or someone on the videos, or someone in a magazine. They need role models that they can actually have a conversation with that will teach them life skills and certain skills so they can present themselves as young women. Um, Knowing again with the dressing up what that looks like and how to wear even a pair of jeans, just something simple, but keeping them positive, helping them build their self esteem, and just showing them what they need to be successful. Um, so, yeah.
I love that. Miss Pryor, same question. Based on your experience and knowledge of the current climate in Durham, what do you think girls of color need?
So I guess we're constantly reflecting, especially as school counselors, but I would say as I reflect on the current climate in Durham, we all listen to the news, most of us, and we hear about all the violence and deaths that are occurring in our city way too frequently. And of course, it can certainly bring about a lot of fear and anxiety, not only for our youth, but for us as adults. And so I think, while we can oftentimes guess what our students or our females of color need, I think oftentimes the best strategy is to just talk to them and ask them what they are in need of. And so I've done that, on various occasions. And while many of my queens have stated, hey, things are good. We're really not in need of a lot. We feel like we belong here. We feel like our educators provide protection for us, as well as a safe place, and all the resources that we need. But then there were a few queens who said, well, Miss Pryor, I just need a little bit more encouragement.
Mm.
I need that encouragement to help me feel a little bit more self-confident. And then too, some of them shared that they need a little bit more respect from their peers. And so, when I listen to that, it kind of reminds me that word respect is key to so many things. I think when we talk about the climate in our city as well as our nation and just throughout the world, that seems to be an area where many of us could, do a little better in order to alleviate a lot of the negativity throughout society. So, in a nutshell, I'd say our queens are needing that encouragement, that respect, but also a comfortable place and comfortable persons that they're, feel comfortable talking with about various situations.
Thank you so much. And Ms. Coburn, same question for you. What do you think our girls of color need?
Yes, I'd like to echo Miss Pryor of I think they need a safe space to navigate their coming of age story. All of our stories are different of how we arrived to this point, and they need a safe space to navigate it. They need adults in their life who are, following up, telling them of like, we're not going to let you just give up so easily, so that they understand that somebody's watching and somebody's looking, because when they realize somebody's watching and looking and caring enough to follow up behind it and say, you know what, you said you were going to class and I went to check and we weren't in class, it's a completely different vibe for them, which they then start to feel that community and they have that safe space, and it just allows them to kind of understand that we're all going to make mistakes, and this is a safe space to learn to make those mistakes, and this is all about us growing and becoming the best versions of ourselves that we can.
I love that. Studies show that girls of color have better outcomes when they feel good about themselves. And I love how Miss Coburn said prior to this that she really didn't come into her own in her 20s. And so trying to help the girls come into their own now, I can imagine the great work that they can do. And so the question is, what can schools, families, and or communities do to support positive feelings and attitudes among girls of colors, and how do you help girls of color experience joy? And so we'll start with Miss Pryor.
So yeah, I guess probably the majority of us would definitely agree that most individuals do have better outcomes when we're confident and that self-esteem is positive. So I would probably say to families, just be present. I think that is so essential, being present and being active in your daughter's life as well as throughout their school journey. Be an advocate for them and be their number one cheerleader. I think that's essential for schools. My suggestion would be get to know your girls of color. Know more than just their weaknesses. Find out about their strengths. What do they enjoy doing? And set aside time to inquire what they need for our communities. Possibly get involved, volunteer in schools, and coordinate events that can assist in helping our queens to reach their fullest potential, and that will allow them time to meet or hear from other females of color that are doing great things. I think, and in regards to myself, when I think about all of that, my part, I try to make sure that I help these females of color to experience joy and to experience happiness by again, providing that safe space, allowing them to communicate with me, making sure I compliment them, making sure I support them, but also reminding them of the importance of rendering kindness and helping others, because those two things also help you as an individual to feel joy.
Mhm. Thank you so much. And Ms. Coburn, same thing. What do you think? What can schools, families, or communities do to support positive feelings and attitudes among girls of color? And how do you help girls of color experience joy?
I think as a community, one way we can support positive feelings is just by helping girls to come up with their own positive affirmations that they say to themselves on a daily basis. And this is for my students across the board. They know that there's going to be two phrases I say to them on a regular basis: do the things, whatever those things are. It could be anything it is, but we're going to do the things. And then when we leave, it's be awesome, be great. And so I really try to offer that positivity of that no matter what type of day we are having, we can still do the things. And at the end of the day, so long as we are working to be great. And so I think the more we can add that into our communities of that positive reinforcement of, yes, we may make mistakes, but let's not focus on that. Let's focus on the ultimate goal, which is a goal of greatness in the end. And we all have greatness within us. And so I think one way I help them to experience joy is by taking time to listen to those small things. It might be that I may not understand how we spent $100 on our nails, but we're feeling good about ourselves. And so my girls, they come in, they show me their nails, and some of them have some very elaborate ones. It might be just listening, remembering that they have an event. So it might be going to a dance recital, or going to a band concert, or a sporting event outside of the four walls. But I think it's very important that I am supporting them outside of my classroom, of like keeping up with what they're doing and be like, hey, I saw that. And so helping them to see that they're more than just their academics, and that I care about them beyond their academics, which I think it ultimately brings joy of like, I just try to be human, of like, I have good days, I have bad days. And in showing them that I am human, I believe it allows them to also be human. And, when we are happy, we're happy, we laugh, we have a good time. But just taking time to let them be kids in the long run.
Let's back up real quick. I want you to tell me the two things you tell your students. I want everybody to hear this, and I kind of want us to breathe this in. And so give me the two things you tell your students again.
Do the things.
Do the things.
Do the things, whatever the things. And be awesome, be great.
Be awesome and be great. So I think we're going to breathe in that mantra, because that's a good mantra to take. I think that's going to be our year.
Yeah.
I like that. Do the things, and then what's the last one?
Be awesome and be great.
Be awesome and be great. That's what we're going to be. Okay. And then Miss Sadler Walker, go ahead and answer that question. Let me repeat it back to you. What can schools, families, and communities do to support positive feelings and attitudes among girls of color? And how do you help girls of color experience joy?
All right, I'll start with families also. And I think it's important to have a good family bond, for families to spend time with the girls, to sit and listen and to find out what's bothering them, what's concerning them, if there's something, some sort of pressure at school or with their friends, but to have someone in their families to sit and just listen to them. Sometimes girls just want somebody just to listen, not to even say anything back, but just to listen to them, just to see what they're feeling, how they're feeling, what they're doing, and not always have something to say about what they should or shouldn't do, but just to sit and have a conversation and just listen to them. And just that bonding is real important with girls. And so with the schools, I think if the schools offered more sort of social kind of things like after school, whether it's dance or art or sculpturing or yoga or sewing, but something that the girls can kind of attach to, that they could join and they could feel good about doing it. So either cooking class, but just something where they can learn and they can feel good about it, to go and say, hey, this is what I did, or this is what I made, or this is what I'm doing, to help empower them beyond the regular academics. But what extra can we give these girls so they can feel good about who they are and feel empowered? And communities, back in years ago when I was coming through as a young girl, there were sororities, and the sororities are still around, but the sororities then had like Targadetta, and the Deltas had a program where they had the girls and they would have pageants. And so we would be a part of those pageants, and we would have like a fashion show, or we would do like some sort of hobby, or something that we attached that we felt good about. And they don't, that I know of, they don't do those things now. But girls need those sort of outside of school activities to help empower them. They can dress up and feel good and have a big ball dance, and teach them how to do that. They don't do that now, but that's what these girls need. As far as communities, the communities need to get back in and kind of work with the girls to empower the girls and help them feel good about themselves. And so, my, working with the girls is to help also the girls to feel good about themselves. If a young lady comes to me and say something about someone is bullying them or telling them that they're, ugly or whatever, then I'll tell them, no, you're beautiful. And in the mornings, you look in the mirror, and that's what you tell yourself before you leave. I am beautiful. Regardless if anybody else tell you that, you tell yourself that. So I try to teach them you can empower yourself just by what you say to yourself. I am beautiful. I am smart. But just giving the girls the tools that they can use without waiting on somebody else to tell them. So, I do a lot of that to kind of empower these girls so they can feel good about themselves.
And I love that. I think one of the things that I have done, speaking of just empowering yourself and speaking affirmations to yourself, that word has kind of been
Mhm.
the thread of the conversations. I have like sticky notes. I will write, so I'm going to put be great, be awesome. Put that on my sticky note, and I put it right on my bathroom mirror or my vanity mirror. I
Mhm.
have mantras for the year, that I say to myself. This is my mantra for the year. And so I think you're absolutely right, and it leads us into the next question about voice. How are you empowering girls of color to raise their voice? Excuse me, and maybe not even raise their voice from the outside, maybe
Mhm.
outside and in, because speaking, raising your voice to yourself, having those affirmations is
Mhm.
wonderful, and then raising your voice to the outside is wonderful as well. And so,
Mhm.
Miss Coburn, we'll start with you.
Yes. So, in helping them to raise their voices, so in working with high schoolers, they a lot of my high schoolers can be very opinionated, and then some of them have a shell that they kind of live in. Like they can be night and day. And so, for those who are more quiet, we have definitely been practicing allowing them to use their voice within our meetings. One thing I must commend my girls on is we started off with having a monthly meeting. They wanted more, so they used their voices and said, we would like, when's our next meeting? And we were like, okay, we hear you, we'll add another meeting in the month. But showing them that even in just expressing what they would like, you can get results in that manner. A conversation that frequently comes up for our young ladies is dress code. Especially on the high school level of, well, why can't I wear that, and how is it distracting, and letting them just kind of voice those concerns and those questions, and then giving them space to say, okay, so this is how you feel about it. Well, now what are we going to do about it? And so providing space for them to kind of think through, well, okay, I'm upset about this, but just sitting and being upset about it isn't going to change anything. What can I do now that I've expressed these feelings and allow myself to create a change that I want? When we first started meeting as a group this year, we asked them, what is the impact that you want to have on Northern? We told them that we had big plans for them and big ideas, but what do you want your impact to be? And to hear the young ladies in the room just share their desires of a safe space. There were some concerns around fighting at that time. And knowing that they could be the change agent in their school empowered them to say, okay, so I am sticking with this so that I can be the change that I want to see in a school. So I think it's all about giving them the time and space, and having and empowering them to know that yes, you're young, but that does not mean that your voice doesn't matter. Your voice is equally as important as the adults in this space, because this is ultimately your space as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Miss Pryor, same question to you. How do you empower girls of color to raise their voices?
So definitely in agreement with Ms. Coburn in regards to, once again, that safe space, and that time to communicate effectively. So I try my best to strive to empower our girls of color, to raise their voices by allowing them to discuss various feelings. We oftentimes start our sessions, in addition to the Queen's Creed, we'll then proceed with journal writing, and we identify the day's feelings based on various colors. I'm feeling this color today based on XYZ. So allowing them to discuss their feelings, as well as their thoughts about school, going further and talking about personal care, life, and any other concerns that they may feel comfortable bringing up into the circle. Also introducing them to other females of color who are successful, again, in various areas or professions, And even incorporating like, sessions about finances and etiquette, and again, how to dress, as well as reminding them that it's okay to be assertive. We talk about that as well. It's okay to be assertive and ask for what you need as long as you're doing it in a respectful manner. All of those are simple forms of empowerment that we implement on site here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Miss Sadler Walker, same question. How do you empower girls of color to raise their voices?
I teach the girls in order to raise your voice, but you have to know how to raise it and what to say, because you don't want to raise it per se in a high octave, but you want to raise it showing and letting someone know how you feel about a certain situation, but do it in a professional and a respectful way, because there are different ways to raise your voice, but what's the appropriate way to raise it so someone can hear and listen to what you're saying in a way to get your point across. So, as a counselor, we always use I messages. So, just teaching them how to use that I message when they need to, per se, raise their voice, but doing it in a way where they're expressing their feelings, what they like and what they dislike. But I think the first thing to do is teaching them what it means to raise your voice, but raise it in a respectable way.
I love that. And so as we wrap up, we have about 6 more minutes. And so this last question is delving deep into who we are. I think when we work with girls, we are working to kind of maybe heal or reach back to our old selves. And so I know I do when I work with girls, and I ask myself, what would I have wanted to hear at that age? And so that's the question. What would you tell young girls of color thinking about that 13-year-old young lady that you were? What would you want to hear? What are you telling young ladies that kind of resonate with, the messaging that you wish you would have heard? And so we'll start with Miss Sadler Walker. Take about a 1 minute, a minute and a half, as we wrap up.
Okay. What would I have wanted to hear? Um, that it's okay to be you. It's okay to be who you are. It's okay to um, look the way that you look.
Mhm.
It's okay to have what you have. It's okay because you're being you. Um, and I think that having those kinds of conversations or empowerment would have helped me and my self esteem be a little bit more than what it was, and not looking for other ways and other people to satisfy that self esteem, but me knowing how to do it myself.
Mhm.
Um,
I
so
love that. I love that. Miss Pryor, same
Gosh,
question.
looking back, that's been a while, right? High school days, 13. I think we all remember that.
Mhm.
I'd probably say like my biggest fear was just, wanting to make sure I was the best. At that time or that stage in my life, I was like somewhat of a perfectionist. But as I matured, I realized that, in Coburn, you said this earlier, we're going to make mistakes,
Mhm.
and that's okay. Tomorrow's a new day, and we're going to strive to be greater than we were, right? So I realized that. I'm like, okay, mistakes are going to happen. I'm not going to always get it right on the first try. So I think I would tell my females of color now, or even my 13-year-old self. It's interesting because something I read, I came across something a few weeks ago, and it really, it really resonated with me. It was saying, there's always going to be somebody that other people might consider more successful,
Mhm.
more beautiful, more talented. But what you've got to realize is that you're not running their race. You're running your own race. So once you realize that and process that, this is my race, I'm going to run it well, and I'm going to run it to the best of my ability. I think that's when life changes, and life becomes more positive. You're more happy. And so just love yourself, enjoy the ride,
Mhm.
and appreciate you. Because when you think about it, who better to be you than you? So that's what I would say.
I like that. And then Miss Coburn, same question.
If I have to think back of what my silliest one moment, I was not comfortable in my own skin. I was fearful to be me. So I was always much taller than the boys. So I was not confident in that height. And I remember a moment of speaking with my godmother. There was a formal coming up. She found these really cute heels, and I was like, "Nope, I'm too tall to wear those." And she was like, "Wait, what?" And so I think one of the things that was very pivotal to me that I wish I could tell myself and would tell my girls is just be your authentic self, no matter what, and follow your passion. Be you and follow your passion. Whatever you want to do, who's to tell you that you can't do it? If you want to do it, just put your mind to it and put the work in, and it's possible. But you can be as powerful as you allow yourself to be. So no hiding in the shadows, and most importantly, be your authentic self.
That's right.
I love that. That's right in line. So in Wednesday, we're doing the girl time lock in with the queens at Northern, and that's our theme, being your authentic self. And so one of my mantras is that I'm going to fill up the Talia size space in the world. My aunt always says, "Honey, you just be the best you can be, and what you got to give ain't shabby." I'm Southern. She say ain't, and that's how I live my life. I'm just trying to be authentically me, but we didn't learn that in high school, right? We were so busy trying to be, like everybody else, but we
Right.
never can fit in that mold. But I can fit in the Talia mold. And so I think we all resonate with that. And so, Miss Coburn, what's our saying? What's our two sayings, real quick?
Do the things,
Do the thing.
be awesome, be great.
Be awesome, be great. And then I think I'm gonna leave it with fill up whoever you are, fill up your size space in the world. And
Mm.
so I will turn it back over to Melissa. Ladies, thank you so much for being here and working with Girls of Color in Durham and at DPS. We really appreciate what you're doing. And Melissa, take it away.
Thank you, Miss Cotton. Thank you so very much to each of you who gave your valuable time this evening to participate in this amazing conversations, for being vulnerable and humble and open and willing to share your wonderful stories and words so that it may influence our young people. Your absolutely beautiful messages that and stories that have a lot of similarities but are also very unique. And I just so very much enjoyed being backstage and listening to you all and all the wonderful things um, that you are doing in your schools, that you are doing for our girls, and also just hearing your own experiences and hearing you reflect on your own childhood and kind of thinking and reflecting on what you were saying and seeing how those experiences that you had as a young girl are informing what your work that you're doing today. Truly beautiful, truly amazing. Thank you so very much. And thank you, Miss Cotton, as always, for being part of our team and for being willing to moderate for us this evening. And as we bring the evening to a close, I would like to thank each and every one of our viewers and remind you to come back and I know next week is spring break. We will have an
Mhm.
event that will air for spring break, but we do hope everyone enjoys their spring break. And to please look us up on social media if you haven't been following DPS Celebrates. And also remember that all of our recordings, if you happen to miss one of our live events, are all available on YouTube that you can use and share at your leisure, use with students, use with stakeholders, community members. And be sure to join us back here next week for our spring break live event. Good evening, everybody, and hope to see you then. Thank you so much.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye
good
bye.
evening.